And welcome back. Now, as you can see on my workbench here at the moment, we have a little Nano connected to a development board, and it's displaying the slightly modified Blink program. The fact that it's displaying a double flash here means that yes, it has uploaded the program that I wanted it to upload. It's not the standard Blink program that often Nanos and Unos come with. Now, it's not important, in fact, that this is the Blink program, because believe it or not, I'm not actually here on this channel to tell you how to write the or run the Blink program. The important thing in this video is how this program got to this Nano in the first place, and it's all about an alternative IDE, which is what we're going to describe and discover in this video. So as you can see, I've already got the Sublime Text Editor loaded here with the Blink program, slightly modified, as I say, just to make a double blink in this area here, and off it goes and uploads it. Now, was that straightforward? Not quite. This is why there's a video for it, and I'm going to show you a couple of the caveats. Now, first of all, let's go and have a look at where I got the actual downloaded from. So here you can see the sublimetext.com up here. I'll put all these links in the video, of course. Now, this is showing here some of the things that Sublime Text can do. It shows it all color-coded, how to create arrays very simply. And it is indeed a step up from the standard Arduino IDE. Now, the eagle-eyed amongst you have already contacted me and said, look, sometimes you're using a different IDE. What is it? Well, it's not this one, but this is most definitely a step towards the one that I'm using, which is pretty much a professional, fully fledged programmer. But then again, so is this in its own way. And I think this would be a good step for those hobbyist Arduino programmers who are finding the standard Arduino IDE a bit limiting. So let's have a look about getting this installed. What else do you need to do? So the first thing you need to do is click on the download button, which when you do that, it says, oh look, Sublime Text 3. Now this is only in beta. I think it says, yeah, here we are, look. It says it's in beta, but it's what I've got installed and it seems to be pretty stable. Build 3126. And as you can see, it's available in many platforms, OS X. So all you Mac users are now cheering, I should think. Windows 64. So if you've got Windows 8 or 10, I think even Windows 7, wasn't that 64-bit? Can't remember. Whatever, it's in 64-bit anyway, as a portable version or installable version. So portable means basically you can install it on a USB stick and just take it with you. And also Ubuntu, so if it runs on Ubuntu, it might run for other Linux ones as well. Oh, well, it says it here, look. So this is where you download it from. That's what I did, and well, basically you download it, install it, and what you see then is this. It says, great, here's your workbench. What do you want to do? And all I did was paste in this slightly modified version of the Blink program. Right, what I'm showing you now, in fact, is my second monitor, because if I try and capture that window, it chops off this bit at the top. I don't know why. I'll have a look at that later. But if you notice this bit here, at the top it says Arduino. Now where does that come from? After all, the Sublime Text Editor doesn't natively know anything about Arduinos, and if you look at the Arduino, it's got all the standard stuff that you perhaps might expect from the Arduino IDE. Now you get this from as an add-in to the Sublime Text Editor. Let's just have a quick look at that. So I did a search for Stino Sublime Text Editor 2, even though in fact we are using 3. Stino's the add-on, and as you can see, it says here, look at the top. So here's the link that I actually clicked on, and I ended up with this. So this is the robot wheel chap who made it, Stino. Now he's sort of taken a step back really, and I think others have now stepped up to the mark, and they're trying to improve this. And as you can see, it's looking here, look, last commit was on August the 3rd, 2015. So that's a little while ago. Some changes were made a year ago, but not a lot. As I say, it doesn't matter. Click on this clone or download. It comes down as a zip. And there are instructions down the bottom here, look, how to install it. So just follow those, and it just works. Run it. You do have to close down the IDE and reopen it again, and then that Arduino link just appears. There we are. There's the Arduino link. Now, there is another caveat. If you try, this bit works, that's fine. You can write your code, and as you can see, it's all nicely color-coded, and there are various color schemes by default. So if you click on Preferences, Color Scheme. Now, I've added in a couple of others just to play about. We'll come on to those in a minute, how you do that. But the default, you get all these. Now, I found some of those a little bit dark. Some are light, but a lot of people seem to like a black background. I don't. I've got some colleagues at work who just live by a black background with writing on it. Don't like it. Personal thing, isn't it? So, but you can experiment with all these and in fact download others. We'll come on to color schemes in a minute. Now, what else about the Arduino? Yes, now there's a couple of things you must do to get this to work when you upload. Otherwise, when you upload, you'll get an error. Now, the error you get looks like this. This is what you get when you try and upload. It goes into the upload mode and then says the AVR dude program comes up and says no programmer has been specified on the command line or on the config line. Wrong, it most certainly has been. So what's the fix? Well, I've done a search around, been into a couple of forums, and the workaround is, so this chap here has got it spot on. In fact, you need to remove the upload verify. If you look at the actual upload when I do it on the actual code window, so here we have the code. I'm now going to upload to this nano down here. So the shortcut key, I could use the Arduino upload command, of course, menu item, except that when I click it, it doesn't actually show up on this window because it's some kind of Java thing, I guess. So Alt-A-U, there it goes. So off it goes into upload mode. Let me just expand this down here. This is the console, which you can see by clicking on View Console, or pressing Control apostrophe, that does it as well. Now, on here, this is the command that this is running. Tells you quite a bit actually about what it's been doing and all the parameters. So what it's doing on here, this is where it's doing the load, or the actual invocation of the AVR dude program. And within here, there is in fact that parameter to say upload verify, and that for some reason there's an error in that, and they're aware of that in that add-in, but that doesn't help us in the short term. So what you have to do is go in and edit that, and I'll show you the file right now. So this is the Arduino file you have to edit. So in my system, it's on the C drive under Programs Files x86 because it's not a 64-bit code executable. Arduino, hardware, Arduino again, AVR, and then there's the platform.txt file. And if you notice down here, I've actually commented out a line. That was the original line there. Let me bring it up into Notepad. It's probably easiest, isn't it? I think it's line 101, was it? Let's bring that over. Shrink it down a bit. There we are. Right, line 101-ish. There it is. So what I did was just comment out that line there with a hash at the beginning of it. So that was the original line. And if you notice on there, it says upload verify. That bit there. Just copy that line underneath, having commented that one out with a hash, as I say, and just take out that upload verify. That obviously confuses this new add-on for the Sublime editor. And close that. Now, when you've done that, you are going to have to reload your IDE for it to detect that. And once you've done that, that's fine. Now, there's one other thing you have to do in the Arduino. Arduino Preferences Select. Right, so I'm expecting it to drop down a level. So C. There we are. Program Files 86. Arduino. And it says fine. It doesn't. Once you've clicked it, it just says, "Yep, I've found it." And that's the end of that, really. So those are the only two things you need to do to get this working. Okay, so having set the Arduino application folder and made that edit into the program.txt and saved it. Now remember, if you're saving anything into your program files folder, you're going to need elevated administrator rights. So if you just try and open it up with Notepad or something, it will go, no, not saving that. You might get all sorts of weird messages like, make sure this isn't open in another program, which basically means I'm not going to save this. Or it might say, ooh, can't do that, read only. Any weird type error like that, it means you haven't opened your editor in administrator mode. Let me just show you what I mean by that. Now I use Notepad++, which I highly recommend that everybody has installed on their system anyway, just for normal use. It's totally free. And you know, programmers around the world use Notepad++. So let me just show you what I mean by that and how to elevate the permissions, which is all built into Windows, of course. So if I call up, can I do this from here? Let's have a look. Nearly. I'm going to have to change. Oh no, we can just see it. There's Notepad. So I've hit the Windows key. I right click and it says More, Run as Administrator. So if you run Notepad++, or indeed the standard Notepad, but take this opportunity now to install Notepad++. Just do a Google search, it'll be there, and just install it. It's brilliant. Okay, a million times better than standard Notepad. Run as administrator, so that will then load up Notepad, as you can see here. That's fine. And then you just do File, Open, and as you can see, look, there it is. There is in fact my platform text that I edited just yesterday. And there it is. And now, of course, if I put a space in there or something and then try and save it, it doesn't complain. Now if I don't do that, let's see what happens, shall we? Just so that you get the full picture. Let me bring this up here. So if I just load Notepad, so this is just loading Notepad now normally without doing anything special. And I say File and just pick up that same one again. So I've now loaded Notepad with not in administrator mode. Try and put another, let's take that space out that I just put in, shall we? Space, try and save. Oh look, save failed. Please check if this file is open in another program. See what I mean? So if you get that or something like it, if you're not using Notepad++, it means you haven't opened it in administrator mode. So that's a little gotcha. Okay. And as I say, if you haven't removed that verify upload or upload verify, whatever it was called, it won't upload into your Uno, Nano, or whatever it is you're using. Now I say whatever you're using, I hesitated there just a bit. I mean, this works for Unos, works for Nanos, that's what I've tried it on. If you've got any other boards like say the Tiny 85, I'm not sure if it'll work for that, I haven't tried it. And if you've got something like an ESP type board, ESP Arduino or D1 or something like that, D2 perhaps, I suspect it's not going to work for that. You'll have to go back to your standard Arduino IDE. Right, so anyway, having created your program and you can then upload it, just Arduino, you can either say upload from here or as I say Alt-A. All these commands are Alt-A for Arduino, apart from that one which is B, burn, fine. We don't often burn bootloaders unless you have a blank chip. Anyway, Alt-A, Alt-U, so basically that's not quite correct. It should be Alt-A, U really. So hold down the Alt key, press A, release the A but keeping the Alt key down, then press the U key and it will fire. But I'm just going to click it from here, and if I were to shrink that window down, you'd probably see a bit more of it, what it's actually doing. There it goes. And you can resize this. You have to click into it though somewhere. Click into this command window, which you get to by saying View Show Console or Control apostrophe. That looks like a backslash. No, not a backslash. It looks like a backward apostrophe, which on a lot of keyboards is in the top left. Now, let me just show you that, just to be absolutely clear, because it caught me out. So here's your keyboard, and you might be thinking it's that key up here with that funny backward apostrophe. It's not. It's the standard apostrophe over here. It might be in a different place on your keyboard depending on which part of the world you're in, but that's what it is on the UK one. Okay, right, just to be absolutely clear on that one. So that gets you this console or command window, whatever you're going to call it. So it's uploaded and it's running. How do we know it's running? Now in the standard IDE, of course, you'd have your serial monitor open. So how do we do that? Well, same way really. If we click on Arduino, serial monitor and run. So this is slightly different, and watch what happens. Look, it's actually brought up a brand new tab. Now you're thinking, hang on, what's this ASCII stuff? Well, that's my fault. I've been playing about and I've put it into ASCII mode. Let's just change that. Display mode, so I've got it in ASCII hex. Let's put it into text. There we are. That's better. So flash. So if I just reset this board now to get it all back to normal. There we are. This is a test message. Flash, flash, flash. Okay, so that's your serial monitor sorted out. Great. I haven't found a way yet of resetting it actually from, well, anywhere on here, because on the standard IDE, of course, you can reset and clear and stuff like that. Well, I guess on here you'd clear it just by closing it. Now, why then would you want to go to this editor? I haven't gone to all this trouble now. You've installed this new editor. Why on earth would you want to do it? And why is it a step up from the standard IDE? Well, look at this little bit of code I've written here, which obviously I've done specifically to show just a couple of the features. The rest I'm going to leave you to find for yourself. I've got a little routine here called test, right? And it says, look, there it is on line 23, just by hovering over it. Yeah. Now you can right click that. If I right click, I can say go to definition. Where have I written this piece of code in my mammoth bit of Arduino code? Go to definition and it scrolls to test. Now the other thing, of course, is that it's all nicely color coded. You can change the colors, as I mentioned at the beginning. Color scheme by default, that's the default package, and these are all the default colors you can get, but you can add other ones in. How do we add in different color schemes? Well, let's go back to the browser first to find an easy way of doing it. Color schemes. Now this tells you here how and where to install color schemes. I'll put this this info link in the video below this. You can have a read of this, but there's an easy way. If you go to this one here and use this particular plugin, there's an easy way and a slightly more difficult way. When I was doing this, I was in a bit of a rush, and I actually did it the hard way, but it wasn't the hard way at all. It just worked, frankly. So how to install colors is very simple. You can make your own colors, although you can do that in the original Arduino IDE as well, to be honest. But that notwithstanding, what else can you do on here? Well, you can make the font bigger or smaller. So you can, if you're not good on your eyes, you can make it nice and huge or shrink it right down. Now I'm doing this by holding down the control key and moving my mouse button up and down, which is the standard way of doing it in pretty much any program. Or go to preferences again, font, control plus equals. Control and equals. I've never actually used that. No, definitely not working on my keyboard at the moment. Oh, there it is. Look, control and equals. What if the numeric keypad? Ah, there we are. Look, now the numeric keypad suddenly decided to play ball again. Control minus, control plus on the numeric keypad. I wonder if it works just standard on there. Yeah, control minus and control, well, equals, yes, but it's got the plus key on it as well, hasn't it? So I think it's easier to use the numeric keypad actually. Press the control key down, minus, control key, plus. Easy. So you can get it nice and big. And as I say, if you try some of the other color schemes, the standard ones that is, so if we go to Blackboard, there we are, that might suit your needs better. As you can see, walking across behind my head there's Benny. He's been giving me instructions, of course, and all this over the last few days. Right, I'm going to go back to my preferred color scheme. Now I've added this in manually, this one here, and I called it day. That was from that link that I just showed you on how to add in a color scheme. Let's go to day. I just like a light one, and if you like a light one, that's fine. If you like a dark one, fine. You can also get it from there as well. Color scheme, you can have a night. As I say, color schemes are obviously pretty easy to do because there's loads of them in the internet forums and things how to do it. Now, one other thing, in your tools you have something called a command palette. You'll be using this tools command palette, and it says, well, what do you want me to do? And this is the one you'll be using a lot of, install package. Okay, so you get a little package like the color scheme, for example, and click that and it'll go, okay, I'll find it and run it. Right, So apart from that, there's one final thing I can show you, and that's a spelling check, which is optional. I think it's under... So I've deliberately misspelled a word here, and as you can see, it's got a red squiggle under it. So by doing that, it does it. Now the other thing I can show you while we're here is if you start typing some codes, if we were to write void something, so as you can see it's got void. Now you can scroll down to it with the arrow key or something, and then hit enter, and it'll automatically fill that in. Void test2. Now, say in test2 I want to do another serial.print type action. So if you type in SER, now, funnily enough, this is one of the little oddities I found about it. SER, and you think somewhere it would know about serial.print, isn't it? As you can see down the bottom right hand corner, this thing here says Arduino. If you click that, you can go to any language you want. And I found going to C++ actually works better for some of the language that we use in Arduino. It is, after all, C++ to an extent anyway. So if I change that and now do it again, now it knows all about serial. Funny that, isn't it? So I can just now, because there's only one and it's highlighted, I can just hit enter, dot. Now you think there's lots of things you can serial dot whatever. If you hit control and space, it then says, well, these are all the options that I know about. So I want to do print line or print. There we are, look, straight away P, and it knows about it, so I can hit enter again. So it gives you this sort of IntelliSense to a degree, and it's definitely a step up from the standard Arduino IDE. Not quite as fully blown as perhaps something like Visual Studio, or in fact the Eclipse development environment that I tend to use a lot in my videos, but this one certainly is good. And well, it's free, sort of. Let's just go back to the monitor there, because some people were saying I'm confused, and I was initially. If we go back to Sublime Text 3, and it says here buy, you think, okay, how much? And it says $70. You go, what? I'm not paying $70. Well, I think basically what they're saying is $70 is for somebody who's using this in a commercial environment, even though it says me and business in this bit here. If you don't pay, the so-called evaluation copy or unregistered copy never dies. It just keeps working and it doesn't nag you. So it's almost, I don't know, people are a little bit confused in the forum saying, well, is it right that I should continue to use this? Or should I be thinking about either not using it or paying the $70? Well, if you're a commercial establishment or you're making money out of this, then yes, I think you should pay. Morally, you should pay, and probably for intellectual property right, I think you probably are supposed to license this product. But for individual hobbyists, I don't think they expect anybody to fork out $70. I mean, that is just a lot of money, isn't it? So if you look at what the Sublime editor looks like up here, look, it says unregistered, and it will stay that way forever apparently. Perhaps they'll make it clearer in a future web page, but at the moment, everybody on the forums is saying, I'm just using it. I'm not paying and I'm not using it. I don't know. I'm not getting into a moral argument here, but nobody pays for the Arduino IDE either. I guess maybe for the Sublime Text Editor for other languages, maybe, I don't know, maybe people do buy it. But then look at Notepad++, the program that I mentioned just previously. That is also a brilliant text editor. It won't upload to your Arduino, unfortunately, because there's no add-on for that. But it's probably as good as this, to be quite honest, or sort of. And nobody pays for that either. That's also freeware. Is it freeware, or is it just a GNU public license, isn't it, I think? Anyway, there we are. That's a nice little text editor with the added Arduino add-on, right? Stino add-on. Give it a whirl if you're fed up with the Arduino IDE. If you're an absolute beginner in the Arduino world, don't do this. Stick with the Arduino IDE for a bit until you're really, really comfortable. In fact, until you hit barriers. That's the best way to know that you've outgrown a product, isn't it? If you're using the standard Arduino IDE and you're quite happy with that, it's extremely simple, deliberately done that way, of course, to get users using it without being bombarded with strange messages and things, then carry on using that. If you've hit some barriers though, or there are some features in this editor that you think, no, I really do want different colors, and I do want this thing where it tells me where the definition of a sub method is, then fine. That's when you've outgrown that, and you might want this. And I hope this video helps you in installing it. There's only those two things you've got to do to get it installed, and Bob's your uncle. Okay, we're going to leave it there. I hope you enjoy this. If you get really stuck, do let me know, but there's plenty of stuff on the internet about how to install this and perhaps problems that you may encounter, but I didn't encounter any problems apart from those two that I've mentioned, and the fixes for those were pretty easy. Great. Well, let your coding be ever more improved with this product. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. I hope you're finding these videos useful and interesting. There are plenty more videos to choose, and a couple are shown below. And if you'd like to subscribe to this channel, just click on my picture below and enjoy the rest of the videos. Thanks for watching.